looks like it's multiple separate bodies that are making this decision when really it's one, and it's not even a governing body.
10 U.S. states just banned this tiny pickup truck using fake safety claims pushed by behind-the-scenes regulators. And the truck owners are absolutely furious. Grassroots groups in Texas and Massachusetts struck back hard, flipped the bans, and exposed the truth. It was never about safety. It was about money and power. You'd think in 2025, the land of the free would let you drive a tiny truck without turning it into a federal case. But no, apparently if your pickup isn't the size of a small battleship and doesn't cost more than your house, you're public enemy number one. Those small, zippy Japanese workhorses that farmers and small business owners have been quietly falling in love with just got torched across 12 U.S. states. Why? Oh, don't worry. They slapped the magic word on it. Safety. That's American for, we're scared of anything we didn't make.
Massachusetts is outright banning any single K-truck.
These trucks are practical, efficient, and affordable. And in today's economy, that's practically a crime. You've got businesses barely staying afloat, contractors who need reliable vehicles, and folks who just want to haul some tools without spending $70,000 on a domestic pickup that gulps gas like a frat boy at a keg party. Yes, I'm talking about K-trucks that just cost $5,000 to $10,000. That's it. And they do the job. But of course, in the US, if something's affordable and useful, someone's bound to ban it.
K-trucks are getting banned, and the reasoning is yes.
Let's get one thing straight. This whole mess didn't start with chaos. It started with quiet efficiency. People were tired of monstrous pickups with vertical hoods and invisible blind spots that mow down mailboxes and, pedestrians. So they looked elsewhere. And they found Japan's K-trucks. These little machines have been perfected over decades for city streets and tight rural roads. They park easy, sip fuel, and don't make your insurance agent cry. And boom, just like that, they were everywhere. Over 7,500 K-trucks rolled into the U.S. in a single year, all perfectly legal, thanks to a little thing called the 25-year rule under the 1988 Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act.
Miniature K-cars. The proposal failed, but K-car drivers say they are still fighting.
Now, let me explain this glorious loophole. If a vehicle is older than 25 years, it's considered a classic. That's right. America says it's suddenly okay to skip the modern crash test circus if the vehicle's old enough. So people started importing these legally exempt trucks, which came pre-equipped with things like ABS, electronic stability control, and smart cab forward designs. These weren't junkers. They were purpose-built machines for tight navigation and agricultural use. But oh no, now they're unsafe? Says who? The same folks letting people register 1960s pickups with no seatbelts? And don't even get me started on the chicken tax. Yes, the US still enforces a 25% tariff from 1964 on light trucks. That fossil of a law was meant to protect domestic manufacturers back when Elvis was still alive. But K-trucks found their way around that tax by aging like fine wine and entering through this 25-year loophole. No tariff, no dealer markups. Just practical, cheap mobility. And let's face it, that's the kind of thing that gives automakers in Detroit cold sweats at night. Because here's the dirty little secret. A K-truck isn't just a truck. It's a giant middle finger to the American auto industry's bloated pricing and inflated nonsense. One K-truck costs less than a single year's loan payment on a Silverado. Read that again. One reliable, working truck for less than 12 months of your Chevy loan. That's not competition. It's a direct threat to the automotive Ponzi scheme propping up overpriced status symbols. So, what did the powers that be do when thousands of Americans started choosing practicality over plastic chrome and dealership donuts? They panicked. 12 states began tearing up registrations like it was witch hunting season. And the logic? Oh, you'll love this. They said K-trucks were unsafe. No hearings, no real data, just a full-on bureaucratic meltdown. Registrations were revoked overnight. In places like Maine, owners went to sleep with legal vehicles and woke up with paperweights. No warning. Just a cute little letter saying, your truck is now illegal. Classic. But where did this wave of idiocy come from? Enter AAMVA, the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. Sounds harmless, right? like a team of clipboard holders managing license photos. Nope. These guys are basically the Illuminati of your DMV, a shadowy non-governmental organization that doesn't pass laws but sends out best practice memos, which magically transform into bans in state after state. They don't have to face voters, they don't sit in Congress, but their little office in Virginia might as well be the center of the automotive universe. Thanks to AAMVA's memos, Rhode Island took the cake for sneakiest move. No new laws, no public votes. They just reinterpreted existing rules. Suddenly, vehicles that were totally fine yesterday were death machines today. Their DMV used vague language and outdated statutes to reclassify K-trucks as unsafe and unfit for highways, without blinking. You really have to admire the creativity. You'd think they were banning dragons or jetpacks, not tiny utility vehicles. And it wasn't just those two states. Pennsylvania, Oregon, and others followed the same script. Wave a memo, scream safety, and boom, crackdown complete. No legislature needed. It's like if your HOA banned your front door because it's not up to current fire escape standards from 2087. That's how arbitrary it all is. So now we've got thousands of Americans, rural workers, baristas, delivery drivers, landscapers, fighting just to keep the one affordable vehicle that actually makes sense. Because the second you find something functional, efficient, and outside the system shows up with torches and a new form.
The owners of miniature Japanese vehicles are looking to a lawyer now for help. In February, we told you state lawmakers were considering a proposal to legalize miniature K-cars.
The proposal failed, but the K-car drivers say they're still fighting.
This is what happens when a country that worships trucks forgets why trucks were useful in the first place. K-trucks didn't fail America. America failed them. And not because they weren't safe or couldn't perform, but because they committed the ultimate sin. They didn't cost $70,000. Let's be honest. Most people didn't think Texas would be the first place to go to war over tiny Japanese trucks. But when the DMV there started quietly rejecting K-truck registrations back in 2021, they messed with the wrong group of drivers. These weren't your average internet complainers. The folks behind Linear K, a grassroots movement made up of farmers, rural business owners, and regular working-class Texans, decided they weren't going down without swinging. And swinging they did. Instead of whining online or posting Save the K memes, these people rolled up their sleeves and did something Washington forgot how to do. They talked to actual lawmakers. Over 180 personal contacts were made with Texas legislators. They didn't just cry foul. They walked in with spreadsheets, business use cases, cost breakdowns, and testimonials from people whose livelihoods literally ran on these trucks. Landscapers, postal workers, delivery drivers, people who couldn't just cough up 70 grand for a Silverado every time the state decided to flex its regulations. The way K-trucks suffer under U.S. regulations is not okay. In April 2024, Texas passed Senate Bill 1816, flipping the entire script. The state that once led the charge in banning K-trucks turned into the first to protect them by law. One signature and boom, K-trucks were back on the road, legally. And it didn't just stop there. Texas set the tone for the rest of the country. It proved that regular people with real arguments can still push back against bureaucratic absurdity and win. That win lit a fire in Massachusetts, where things were going downhill fast after the state dropped a blanket ban in June 2024. But they didn't expect what happened next. Out of nowhere, two truck owners, Matt Isgro and Mason Mangine, decided they weren't just going to sit around and wait for the state to evaluate anything. They went full Texas mode. A Facebook group they started exploded with over 900 members in a matter of weeks. People weren't just angry, they were ready. What started as a comment section full of "this is BS" turned into public hearings, organized testimony, and expert-backed safety arguments that absolutely shredded the state's excuse for banning these trucks. People pulled up with crash data, maintenance costs, fuel savings, you name it. By September, Massachusetts was already backpedaling. They reinstated K-truck registrations and promised to study the issue more. We got caught pushing a corporate agenda, and now we need a face-saving exit. But let's talk about the golden excuse behind all these bans, the infamous 2008 crash test video. Oh yeah, the one that's been used to terrify lawmakers and convince grandma that these mini trucks are death traps on wheels. Here's what they don't tell you. In the video, the K truck is moving at 25 miles per hour, while a Ford Ranger barrels into it at 35 miles per hour. That's not a crash test, it's a setup. It created a 60-mile-per-hour relative impact between a 1,500-pound truck and a 4,000-pound monster, and then they had the nerve to call it scientific. But wait, it gets even better. The truck used wasn't even a legitimate Japanese import. It was an American-assembled replica, built with different parts and likely none of the structural integrity of a real K vehicle. But no one in the media cared to ask. The visual was too good. Watching a tiny truck get destroyed makes great TV, even if it's completely misleading. And while they're busy fear-mongering over K-trucks, guess what's still cruising around completely legal? SUVs and electric pickups that weigh upwards of 6,000 to 7,000 pounds, with giant blind spots and front grills designed like battering rams. From 2009 to 2018, pedestrian deaths increased by 46%, and those massive vehicles are a big reason why. But sure, let's ban the trucks that sip fuel and fit in a bike lane. Meanwhile, real research, the kind not funded by corporate lobbyists, has already proven these bans are a joke. In Japan, crash data from over 1,379 frontal collisions showed no significant difference in injury outcomes between K-trucks and standard vehicles when controlling for seatbelts and crash severity. You know, actual scientific analysis. In Japan, they prioritize accident prevention through visibility and handling, not just building vehicles so massive they survive collisions by crushing everything else. But let's stop pretending this was ever about safety. The real issue is that K-trucks are a financial threat to bloated American automakers who are completely dependent on selling overpriced land yachts. K-trucks work, they're cheap, they're efficient, they destroy the lie that you need a $70,000 truck to get stuff done. And for the people running this country's automotive show, that's a disaster. So if you're tired of overpriced trucks and backdoor bans, hit that subscribe button, because we're not done exposing the system just yet.